So we just finished the interview project, and of course the idea of that was to work with audio-video correlation, or as we like to call it, hear it, see it. And again, during the interview, we had somebody talking specifically about something, some certain topic, and while they were talking about it, we were showing the B-roll footage of it. So we had that audio-video correlation. Again, that's see it, hear it. And it worked out pretty well for us. Well, now what we want to do is we want to actually take that same concept and work with it again, but this time in one of the formats that's used for television news stories. There are actually three different formats that are used, and one is called a voiceover, and that's the one that we're going to be working on next. That's going to be our next project. So a voiceover is nothing more than an anchor person reading a story, but as that story is being read, footage of the story is being seen. So you can see it's a lot like what we did in the interview project. So a voiceover is one of the ways that you can produce a story for television news. Another way is what's called a voiceover to sound on tape, and that is basically the same thing. It includes the voiceover, the anchor reading the story, with the video of what's being read being seen, but then it goes one step further, and we also have a soundbite or a portion of an interview that goes along with the video. Okay, and that actually is referred to as the SOT, or sound on tape. That's the interview portion of it. So you have video with the anchor reading, then you have video with the anchor reading leading into a soundbite or a portion of an interview. And then the third form, or third format, if you will, of producing a story for broadcast news is the package. And I think you're all pretty familiar with the package. And that again, you know, that's a complete story that has the video, the B-roll, the interviews, and the voice track to it. And we're going to be working with one of those. That will be our last project this semester. So that's still a couple of weeks off for us. But right now, I want to come back to this voiceover. Okay, the voiceover story, sometimes referred to as just the VO. And again, what it is it's the anchor person reading a story, and as the story is being read on the air, the video comes up. And again, the video correlates to what's being read in the story. Now, for example, say you had a fire story, all right? So the anchor is reading this story about a fire. And as they're reading the story, what happens is we start to see video from where the fire occurred. So usually, obviously, a photographer doesn't get there when the building is actually burning. Most of the time in a situation like this, it's nothing more than shots of the building already burned. And, you know, the kind of the tape, the crime scene tape that you can see everywhere, and things like that. But that basically would be your video. So again, imagine a story here of a fire that's broken out, okay? And then imagine the video of that aftermath of that fire. So imagine video of a burned building, and again, the crime scene tape and that kind of image, all right? So what happens is the anchor person reads the story about this fire, talking about where it was, you know, maybe what the cause was, how much damage was done. And while the story is being told, while the story is being read on camera, we start to see the shots that were taken, the B-roll that was taken at the scene of the fire, okay? So that's just an example of what a voiceover story would be like. Now, normally at this point in the semester, what we would do is we would have the people in the class actually go out and shoot some B-roll after we had given them a script. So we give them this script, which is a voiceover script, and we say, okay, now go shoot the video that needs to correlate to this script. And really all they do is they just go to 5 basic places on campus, and they shoot a little video from 5 different locations. And that is what the script is, basically. It's about these different locations on campus. So, for example, you know, one of those locations happens to be the white church on campus, right? So we give a little information about the white church, and the class goes out and they get video of the white church, usually a wide shot, medium shot, tight shot, right? And then we talk about another location, and maybe that's the thinker statue. Well, then it's the same thing. 3 more shots, wide, medium, tight, of the thinker statue. And then that correlates to what's being written in the script about the statue. So let me give you an idea here. I'm going to take that script that we give normally to the class, and I'm going to read a little bit of it here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read like one location. And in this case, that location is the cemetery over by Olskamp. So let me read this script to you, and I can give you a better idea that way of what a voiceover would look like. Okay, so right now you got to think of me as Mr. Anchorman here, and I'm going to read this story, and as I'm reading this story, the video is going to come in that's going to correlate to what it is that I am reading, and we're going to create a voiceover. But again, remember please that a voiceover is always the voice of the anchor person over the video during a live broadcast. Okay, voiceover. The voice of the anchor person over the video over video during a live broadcast. So this is how it would look, something like this. All right, here we go. Here's my Anchorman invitation. All right, unique. That's one way to describe Bowling Green State University. At least it's the best way to describe some of the school's features. The most unique feature is the cemetery on campus. The university was built around the cemetery over 100 years ago. The cemetery extends over several city blocks, and it's the final resting place of many former Bowling Green residents. So you can see how it works. You have the script, and then you have the video that correlates exactly to the way the script is written, so that again you establish that audio-video correlation, and as the anchor reads the script, the video that correlates to it is seen, and you have that perfect hear it, see it combination, and that's what we're looking for. Now, of course, the idea is how do you actually edit that, because it's the anchor person who's reading it. So in the editing process, you do not know the pace that the anchor will be reading. So really what you have to do is you have to be the anchor. As the editor, you have to be the anchor, and you have to lay down the footage, and you have to assume that as you read the script, the way it lines up with your voice is the way it will line up with the anchor's voice. So that's how that's done. And sometimes, sometimes it's off just a little bit, but usually not by very much. And it still works very effectively. So that's the voiceover. Then there's the voiceover to sound on tape, the VO to SOT. And again, sound on tape just refers to usually a sound bite that is added to the end of the voiceover. And again, think of it this way. If we're going to go back and use that example of the fire, well, we've still got that video, right, of the fire, of the burned building that we can show as the anchor reads the story. But then what we can do is we can finish by adding a sound bite or sound on tape, and that would usually be a portion of an interview, in this case, say from the fire official who happened to be on the scene. And maybe the fire official can explain to us how much damage was done and what caused the fire. Well, we don't have to actually write that into the story. We can let the fire official say it. It can be heard in his soundbite, and we end up with a voiceover to a sound on tape. So again, how would that look? Well, you're going to have that video of the burned building. You're going to have the anchor talking about where it was, what time the building went up in flames, how long it took the crews to respond, and then you can go right into the soundbite, again from the fire official, giving additional information, talking about what may have caused the fire and how much damage was done. So it's a good way to add information to a story. And again, the thing is that if you have a voiceover, sometimes with a voiceover there's not a lot of information available. Again, in the case of the fire, what you would want to do is you would want to get the story on the air as soon as possible after that fire breaks out. So in doing that, you send a photographer, they get the footage, they come back, somebody writes a script, the photographer takes the script, edits the video to the script to create that audio-video correlation for the voiceover story, and there you have it, it's on the air. But that's with a very limited amount of information. So if you have a little bit more information, right, you can again get an interview, and while the photographer's out there, he just takes a second to ask a question or two of the fire official, brings that back. Now he edits together the voiceover with the script, and then he adds the SOT, or the portion of the interview from the fire official, at the end of that. So again, it's just a way to add additional information. Let me give you an example again, but this time let me show you one that was actually done for a student newscast. Now, in this case, what they did is they did a voiceover to sound on tape, and then they continued with more information with a second voiceover after the portion of the interview had aired. So really, what they produced was a VO, SOT, VO. But again, this will give you an idea exactly how it would look if you were to do a voiceover to sound on tape.
94 million Americans deal with obesity every day, but a local health and wellness store is fighting the problem. Get Inspired Nutrition BG is a nutritional supplement store offering many dieting options. Protein shakes, drinks, and other meal substitutes are available for customers to eat rather than unhealthy food. The owner was motivated by her own weight loss to open the business.
It had to be a lifestyle change, and that's what I wanted to offer to the clients, is something that they can do on their own, because I know I've struggled with weight my entire life and I know how hard it is.
Customers can set up nutrition plans to lose weight, change their diet, and maintain a healthy lifestyle by using the store's products. An exercise area will be added to the business as well.
So a voiceover and a voiceover to sound on tape. Those are, again, two of the three ways in which television news stories sometimes are produced, how they're edited. And again, it's very important for you to know exactly how these are done, because what's going to happen if you stay with the broadcast track in journalism, you're taking 3150. Well, it's a prerequisite to journalism 3300, which is video reporting, and to journalism 4300, which is advanced video reporting. So 3300 and 4300 would be the next courses for you to take if indeed you want to do some television reporting. So it's important to get an idea of how stories are told through visual editing. And again, voiceover and voiceover sound on tape are two of those ways. As we mentioned earlier, the third way is the package, and we'll talk about that here in about another week or so as we get closer to when our final project is going to be due. But for right now, concentrate on the voiceover and the voiceover to sound on tape. We did not have a chance, as I mentioned, this semester to actually let people in the class edit a voiceover. However, if you would like to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a voiceover assignment an extra credit assignment. We originally had the voiceover assignment in our syllabus for the semester, but when we went online, we had to drop it because of time purposes. Well, I'm going to bring it back, but I'm going to bring it back as an option, okay, just as an extra credit assignment if you want to do it. If you do, let me know, and what I'll do is I'll send you a script and some video that's already been shot, and then all you would have to do is take the script and simply edit the video to it so that as the script would be read, it would correlate with the video from the footage that I'll give you. But again, I would put that up on files for everybody, but I can't. I'm out of room. I'm out of space. So there's really nothing that I can take down right now on files. So as a result, there's just no room for me to put up this video for a voiceover. But if you do want to actually try to edit a voiceover, I will email you the script and the video. And you can edit it, and we'll give you 5 extra points of extra credit, or 5 points of extra credit for doing it. It's an optional assignment, but if you are interested, let me know. Also, please let me know if you have any questions about either the voiceover or the voiceover to sound on tape format.